Good evening. Tonight is Monday, the 5th of April, 2021. I'm Scott J. Hamilton, and welcome to this episode of the Hamilton Report. As I tell you each week, it's always a pleasure to be welcomed into your home or your office or wherever you're watching this broadcast to spend half an hour with us. And tonight, I've got a guest that I know you will be glad that you've had a chance to hear from. Before I introduce our guest, though, I just want to mention a couple of things. I indicated last week that our Campaign Academy 2021 is coming up, and it's coming up very quickly now. And I want you to please, if you've ever considered running for office, if you would like to work on a campaign and know more about how the process runs, if you're considering a career as a campaign consultant. These are all great people to be a part of our Campaign Academy. It's a remarkable training opportunity. It's all in one day, and the best part is it's digital. You don't have to travel. It's Saturday morning through Saturday afternoon on April 17th. It's packed with some amazing information that honestly you would not be able to find just reading a book on running a campaign. I'm proud of the presenters that we have and the topics that we have, and you can get all the information that you need at okdemocrats.org. You can go ahead and register for this training as well as sign up for which sessions you want to take. I hope that you'll take advantage of it because it's something I'm looking forward to. We put a lot of effort into it to make it the best training that it can possibly be. I want to say a word of congratulations, too, to all of the re-elected county officers and the newly elected county officers from around the state. This weekend was county conventions, and I know a lot of people put a lot of effort into making those successful, and I'm appreciative of that. And I know that the folks in your counties are because it shows good leadership. And for those of you who are not returning, thank you for your service. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. You know that we have a lot going on, a lot to do, and I'm glad that you're here to help, especially helping to welcome the new county officers around the state. So if that's you, don't feel left alone. We've got you covered all the way. I want to tell you about a bill right now in our state capitol. It's so frustrating because this bill started out as a House bill. It went through committee. It was not voted on the floor. So everyone thought or hoped or assumed that it had gone for this year. Well, it is resurfaced. It's resurfaced in its original language in a bill supposedly about the Red River. It's not about the Red River. What it's about is mandating that any school employee who suspects that a child is struggling with sexual orientation or gender identity, that they must report to the parents. Well, of course, this is terribly traumatic and it's bad legislation. On top of that, it would also ban diversity training in colleges, in schools throughout the state. And not just that, but also the state departments themselves. So that means that diversity training would not any longer be able to happen at the OU Medical School or a social work school. It would no longer be a part of the staff training, the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, the Department of Corrections, and the list goes on. This is horrible legislation. It serves nothing but grandstanding. It's performative legislation at its worst. And that's why you'll understand that I've invited to be on our program this evening a woman who represents a relatively small part of the state. She is running to be the next senator from Senate District 22, which covers part of Oklahoma City, Edmond, and Yukon. And the reason that it's important that you meet her tonight is because she is a voice of reason. And she's exactly the kind of person that we need in our legislature to stop the nonsense that's happening at the hands of Republicans. With that being said, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the Hamilton Report candidate for Senate District 22, Molly Ooten. Molly, good evening and welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I told Scott a little while ago, I am still on the campaign trail. It's the day before the election. So we're still out. I have my volunteer Robbie with me. He's probably gonna hop back in the car here in a second. This is real campaign life right now.
You know, when I saw you hop on and you were in your car, I thought, oh, I hope this is going to work. Well, it does work, and especially it works because it shows that you are working here. What are we, 13 hours before the polls open tomorrow? Less than that. And you're still out there knocking doors.
And this is our last one too. So like we've been doing this work hard to get to the point that we wanted to hit all of these doors. We had a goal and we're going to hit it. So
that's impressive. Molly, hey, how are you? Welcome. Molly, let's be honest. You have a very successful career. You have a wonderful family.
Yes.
And now you have put yourself out there to run for Oklahoma Senate. Something had to drive that. Tell us about that, please.
Well, okay, so you touched on my career, and I think if I were to pick, the two things that were most influential in my decision, number one would be my career. Oh, hi, Andy. He's awesome. Thank you, Mary. So my career as a speech pathologist meant that I went into families' homes. So I was an employee of Sooner Start for 6.5 years. And I went into people's homes once a week. And what that gave me was this perspective that I can't lose now. A perspective of what it's like to kind of be in the trenches. Like, what does the everyday life of a regular Oklahoma family look like? I also was very inspired by the model of Sooner Start, which serves all children in the state of Oklahoma, and which doesn't rely on private insurance to fund the services. And so it was my job as the provider, along with the family, to determine what level of treatment and services were appropriate, which I really find to be, the best model for healthcare. I've not found anything like it where I thought that a private or independent insurance company, telling me how many visits I can give a child was really the most functional way to be a speech pathologist. So that's the first reason. And the second reason I would say is my faith. I was brought up in the evangelical tradition. I no longer consider myself a part of mainstream evangelicalism. But what I say all the time is they taught me too well about unconditional love. I went out and actually unconditionally loved people, and found that it kind of went against some of the other things that I was taught. And so that's kind of the cornerstone of how I see the world, is that, everyone deserves rights, not just the people that look like me or think like me, that we can't necessarily pick and choose which parts of the Constitution or the Bible that we're going to protect and defend. Like we can't protect the right to bear arms and not protect the right to protest. Like, it should not be possible for someone to run over a protester and not be charged for it. We can't choose which rights we get to protect, just like we can't choose which people we want to protect. It's all of us or nothing.
And you've said a great deal in that, because so many of the shenanigans that we see at 23rd and Lincoln it's like clown day some days, and you wonder how many more clowns can come out of the car because of the foolishness in the way that they are trying to legislate a brand of morality, legislate how people other than themselves live their lives, legislate who gets what. And as you say, at some point it becomes absurd because now if you're not protecting everyone, ultimately you're protecting no one.
Yep. Well, I find it funny that I find it interesting that my opponent makes bodily autonomy one of his campaign strongholds, but he doesn't, approve of bodily autonomy for women, and he doesn't approve of bodily autonomy for trans people. So you can't pick and choose your bodily autonomy.
I have to say that I saw something on your opponent's page last week that I found so repulsive, and I honestly I felt bad about giving him even a little bit of a light of day, but I had to draw attention to the cruelty that he was inflicting on someone who's been a volunteer for you, someone who believes in you because you believe in all people.
She's not just a volunteer, that's my best friend.
Well, see, that's even more important. I didn't even know that. Yeah. But the fact that this man is cloaking his hatred in his so-called religion is something that you have completely done on the other side. You have been open about who you are, about what you believe, about what your ideals are and your hopes for your family and your community and the state. But you have been, and that's what's been so fascinating and frankly captivating about watching your campaign unfold. You know, our chair, Alicia Andrews, has been talking about this election for weeks and weeks and weeks now.
She has.
Because it's important. It's important to all of us, no matter where we live in the state.
Yeah.
Because we need people like you. Now, I want to go back to your family for a minute.
Yeah.
How was when you said, okay, this is something I really want to do? Was it a big family discussion? Were there folks who said, I don't know?
So it's honestly, it's been on my mind. My family, my husband, they know that this has been something that I've felt called to do for a while. And so I actually considered running for this seat in 2018 and decided not to. And so in the meantime, I knew I was going to do something. I actually went through Sally's List training, and so Sally's List has been an endorser and a big supporter for me. But when this opportunity came along, it was almost like, oh well, this is the one. Like it was an easy decision. And I remember in 2018, so I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and in 2018 I was the week that was the week of the teacher walkouts was the week of filing. And so I was involved with the teacher walkouts. I was there. I was excited. It was a whole thing. And I was like, can I really do this? And my husband was kind of just like, oh, I don't know. And a month later, I got pregnant with my daughter. And so I think that the timing of this race, the fact that it's a special election, makes the opportunity different. And so here I am. Like when we got here, it was just like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. Fortunately, it came at the loss of Kendra, which I was devastated to not have her representing me any longer. I'll put my seatbelt on so we can stop the dinging. Real campaign life, you guys. Real life. Yeah, but I think that if there is any silver lining to come out of her loss, it's gonna be flipping this seat. Or I hope so. That's what I'm holding on to.
Well, and we're holding on to that with you and for you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the way your campaign came together, because I've seen people endorsing you, from the Panhandle and southeastern Oklahoma City, and Tulsa, of course. But how were you able to build such a strong campaign? We should also point out that some folks who really are deserving of appreciation are Oklahoma County Democrats, Cleveland County Democrats, Edmond Democratic women, because they've been all in for you on this.
Yes, they really have. Yeah, Canadian County women are, I mean, women and men. But Jody Harlan, Chantel Corey, Sarah, I mean, they're out. Shirley Burton, they're out for me every single weekend from the get go. Like, they don't stop. Oklahoma County has been wonderful. Robbie White is just a ray of sunshine, to be honest. Christina Chigorowski and Krista Jones at the Edmond Democratic Women. Obviously, making the best of those connections has been a big part of this. But I also have a professional campaign staff. And I think that I owe a lot of the strength of my campaign to the expertise of my professionals and the dedication of my amazing volunteers. Robbie has also been out for me every single weekend. My best friend Hannah, who we know from this, and I have to say that the day that happened was by far the hardest day of the campaign. And I like Hannah ultimately, I mean, it's everyone in the community, but Hannah is like the reason I'm doing this. And so being able to protect her is really important to me. And it was really hard to see my loving post twisted like that. But back to your original question, how did I build this strength? My professional campaign staff, my dedicated team of volunteers. Obviously, my husband and my children have been amazing throughout all this, supporting me. But I really have been calling from day one, calling and knocking doors. Obviously, local people are getting excited about this race. But statewide, people understand that a state senator makes decisions that have impact across the state. This is not.
Say that again and underline it and put it in italics. Yes, yes, yes.
This is not. I will represent SD 22, and they will always be my priority. But as a legislature, we make decisions for the whole state. So that means if there's food insecurity in the Panhandle, that's a concern to me. I had somebody talk to me in my district about kids that he knows in his neighborhood are hungry, that he feeds. And I said, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to start looking for resources for you right now. It does not matter what happens in this election. It is unconscionable that we live in 2021 and we still have kids going hungry. We live in the wealthiest country in this nation and we still have kids going hungry. Unconscionable.
And that, there again, that's the passion that it takes to do this work. And I know that some days have been easier for you than others, and some days have just been slam dunks. At the end of the day, you're worn out, but you really know that it was a great day.
Yeah.
I'd like for you to take just a moment, and then I'm gonna get you back onto the path, I promise. But take just a moment, and if someone who's watching tonight has contemplated running for the state house or senate or as mayor or city council person or county commissioner or the school board, what advice would you give them?
That's a very good question. I actually was struck by the number of extremely well-meaning people who cautioned me that this was going to be very hard. And they want you to understand, they want you to be ready when people are nasty to you. And people have been nasty to me, clearly. But what I think it's kind of underemphasized sometimes is that the good really does outweigh the bad. That next conversation the next door, like, you never know who's, like, you can't judge by the name on the page. You can't judge by the last thing that happened, because you could end up on a porch with two women in their 70s in a relationship that have lived through decades worth of discrimination, and they weep with you standing on the porch because they're so excited that you're running.
Wow. So, that's a pretty compelling argument to run for public office.
And like that, you're going to get many doors like that. And the next door, the next one, like, it's going to make it worth it. And there's going to be lights along the way that both guide you and make you more sure that this is where you're meant to be. So my advice is to do it.
Wow, that is great advice. And I wish we had more time to talk, but I see time is running out on your behalf, so I'm not going to keep you. But Molly, no, we are rooting for you. We have been rooting for you. And thanks to all of your great help in your campaign that everyone has pitched in, but especially thanks to you for putting yourself out there and working to make a difference. And I hope that very soon that you'll come back in and visit us as Senator Molly Ooten.
I'm happy to do it. Give me a call tomorrow night. We'll see where I'm at.
That's a deal. Molly, thank you and best wishes to you, my friend.
I appreciate you so much. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Well, you heard an endorsement for running for office that's far better than anything that I could have given, because she's out there. She's doing the work. She's doing it right now. And she says, it may be that next door that you knock is going to be the one that changes your life. And wow, that's a powerful, powerful statement. So we do wish Molly well. And I hope, again, that if this is something that you have ever considered, and you don't have to declare your candidacy right now, but I do hope that you'll take advantage of our campaign academy, because that could be just a nudge that you need to give you enough information to help you make an informed decision about what you want to do to make Oklahoma a better place for all of us to live. That information is at okdemocrats.org. There also is where you can find past episodes of this program, as well as our Chairs Daily Live, and also on our YouTube channel. It's simply OK Democrats at YouTube. So I hope that you will want to share these past broadcasts as well, because everything we do is aimed at getting more folks involved in the process and electing more Democrats to office. Finally, this evening, before I say goodnight, I want to make an appeal to you to support your Oklahoma Democratic Party. We have just recently announced some amazing tools for voter registration. We'll talk more about that in an upcoming episode of this program. But what we are doing is exactly what Stacey Abrams did in Georgia. It's a methodical process that truly works in changing the tenor of a state and our electorate. In order to keep these programs running and to build them stronger, we need your support. It can be any amount that's comfortable for you, but if you can make a monthly contribution or a one-time contribution, we do need your support. And there again, you can do that at okdemocrats.org. I hope that you'll tune in each day at 4:15 when our chair, Alicia Andrews, gives her live update. And I hope that you will grace me again next week by joining me here at 7 o'clock for the Hamilton Report. Until then, my friends, I offer you peace, a wonderful springtime week ahead, and please take great care of yourself. Have a good night.